Japan news every night at 9 o'clock. My name is Maggie Gill, and as usual, I'm here with Ostrowski to bring you the most compelling news in Japan.
Tonight, we have a special broadcast for you. As 2014 has come to a close, and the bright, or perhaps not so bright, promise of 2015 looms over the horizon, we've proudly reached the midpoint of this decade.
We thought it would be nice to take a step back and watch some of the more significant stories, both good and bad, that we have broadcasted to you, Japan, so far this decade.
We'll be covering the Okinawa protests in 2010,
The earthquake and tsunami in 2011,
the record snowfall in 2012,
the oldest man dying in 2013,
and then the snap elections that happened in 2014.
So sit back and enjoy the review of this decade thus far.
First up, 2010. On April 25th, 2010, a huge rally occurred in Okinawa, a small Japanese island south of the main islands.
Let's take a look at the segment we originally did on this story. Huge rally, small town. Tonight we'll be focusing on an anti-occupation rally that happened earlier today.
The rally occurred in Yomitan, Okinawa, with over 90,000 protesters expressing their beliefs.
Let's start off with some background.
In 1945, a U.S. base called the Marine Corps Air Station Futenma was built in the center of Okinawa following the occurrence of the Okinawa War.
At the time, it was home to only a couple thousand troops.
But as of 2010, over 20,000 Marines reside in the Futenma base.
In 2006, an agreement was made to move the base to the coast of the island.
Later, during the summer of 2009, Hatoyama Yukio was elected as the prime minister.
After the election, he promised the people of Okinawa they would come up with an alternative plan that would both appeal the U.S. and reduce the amount of American Marines on the island.
He's given himself until May to go through with this plan.
But this April, after no change had occurred, it was obvious that the U.S. was planning to move further into the island. 90,000 Okinawans appeared in Yomitan.
They were not only opposed to the movement of the base, but they wanted it off the island completely.
We have live reporter Clara Alexander in Okinawa to tell us how it went.
We're here in Yomitan, a city with a population of only 40,000, but there are about 90,000 people every day protesting the use of the US base. Many of them are wearing yellow to express their anger at the Japanese Prime Minister.
As one protester said, "We are all Japanese, so why do just the Okinawans have to bear this burden?" Since the protests, the U.S. has considered building a smaller base on a different island and moving some troops there, but so far no changes have been made.
As of today, the base is still on the coast of the island, and Hatoyama Yukio is no longer prime minister.
Let's move on to what perhaps was the biggest event to happen in Japan this decade thus far.
On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9 earthquake shook northeastern Japan, unleashing a savage tsunami.
The 2011 Tohoku earthquake struck offshore of Japan, along a subduction zone, where two of Earth's tectonic plates collide.
When in a subduction zone, one plate slides underneath another into the mantle, the hotter layer beneath the Earth's crust.
The Great Plates slipped, causing earthquakes.
East of Japan, the Pacific Plate dived underneath the overriding Eurasian Plate.
The tremor released a great amount of century-built-up stress between the two plates.
Tonight marks the 6-month anniversary of the Tohoku earthquake, a magnitude 9 earthquake that devastated the area it shook.
We here at Japan News thought it would be appropriate to reflect on the terrible disaster and to present all the known facts about the situation. The earthquake started on Friday, March 11, 2011 at 1446.
It was centered 45 miles east of Tohoku and 20 miles below the surface.
Thankfully, the shaking only lasted for about 6 minutes, and the residents received a warning.
This is thanks to Japan's earthquake early warning system.
The country's early warning system prevented many deaths from the earthquake.
The people also received texted early warnings on their cell phones.
Although citizens were not alerted of what happened next.
Less than an hour after the earthquake, the first tsunami waves hit Japan's coastline.
The tsunami waves reached run-up heights of about 128 feet at Miyako City and traveled inland as far as 6 miles in Sendai.
Run-up heights measure how far the wave surges inland above sea level.
The tsunami flooded an estimated area of approximately 217 square miles in Japan.
The waves destroyed protective tsunami seawalls in several locations.
The massive surges had also destroyed 3-story buildings where the people had gathered for safety.
Near Arari, the tsunami generated a massive whirlpool offshore.
A local official in the town of Futaba, Fukushima, said that more than 90% of houses in 3 coastal communities were swept away by the tsunami.
Another survivor, Koichi Takairan, a 34-year-old truck driver who was in his 4-ton rig when the wave hit Sendai, said, "The tsunami was unbelievably fast. Smaller cars were being swept around me. All I could do was sit in my truck."
And to add on to the great disaster, the tsunami caused a cooling system failure at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant.
This resulted in a level 7 nuclear meltdown and a great release of radioactive materials.
About 300 tons of radioactive materials continued to leak from the plant into the Pacific Ocean, affecting fish and other marine life.
The power plant was about 160 miles north of Tokyo, 6 to 12 miles from the epicenter of the earthquake.
As a result of the earthquake and the tsunami, the country created a newly installed and upgraded tsunami warning system.
A government study was also conducted and the results were astonishing.
In some regions like Miyagi and Fukushima, only 58% of people headed for higher ground immediately after the earthquake.
This is because many people assumed that the tsunami would be as small as the ones that they have previously experienced.
6 months after the tragedy, experts are estimating that at least 15,000 people have been killed.
4,500 are missing,
5,000 are injured,
and 30,000 are displaced.
at least 332,000 buildings,
2,000 roads,
50 bridges,
and 20 railways were destroyed or damaged along the entire east coast of Honshu, from Chiba to Aomori.
It is clear that the damage derived from this catastrophe is colossal.
The majority of casualties occurred in Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima.
The total economic loss in Japan is now estimated at 36 trillion yen.
Electricity, gas, water supplies, telecommunication, and railway services were disrupted, and several reactors received severe damage in a power plant near Okuma.
Several fires and landslides occurred in Chiba and Miyagi.
At least 1,800 houses were destroyed when a dam failed in Fukushima.
The tsunami destroyed or severely damaged many coastal towns in the Kuji-Minami-Sanriku-Nami area.
However, Japan is not the only area affected by the earthquake and tsunami. And amazingly, the earthquake released a low-frequency rumble called an infrasound, which traveled into space and was detected by the Gochi satellite.
Clearly, this will be a huge event remembered for decades, if not centuries.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the hundreds of thousands of people affected by the earthquake, tsunami, and power plant accident.
4 years later, we hope everyone is doing well.
Our next story is from 2012.
In February, a huge snowstorm hit Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan.
We are here on a very cold and snowy day in the city of Iwamizawa, where there has just been a record-breaking amount of snow.
In just the last couple of days, up to 10 feet of snow has accumulated on the west coast of Hokkaido.
We haven't seen this amount of sudden snowfall in 6 years.
The snowstorm has killed at least 50 people and injured 600 Japanese citizens.
We know that at least one bridge has collapsed and many, if not most, schools have closed for safety and repair.
The west coast of Japan has been hit by many snowstorms this year, but none quite like this.
We have live reporter Christina who can tell us more about the current conditions of this storm.
Here in Iwamizawa, on the west coast of Hokkaido, 10 feet of snow have already fallen, although it is predicted that another 3 feet will accumulate over the next 3 days. It's about 9 degrees Fahrenheit and extremely windy. A warm-up is predicted to come in about a week, but until then, good luck to all the citizens of Iwamizawa clearing the snow, and stay safe.
Thanks, Christina.
In the past couple of days, the Japanese citizens have become fed up waiting for the city to do something about the snow, so some have taken matters into their own hands.
This is a major factor behind many of the snow-related deaths and injuries.
People are slipping and falling while on roofs or unsafe places trying to clear snow.
Just today, 3 women were buried in an avalanche of snow, but luckily were found alive later.
The snow has also caused a 310-foot steel bridge to collapse in Nango.
There were no injuries from this, although this could be a large financial issue for the city considering they're already low on their budget from snow cleanup and repair.
It is possible more bridges and roofs will collapse later on.
The Meteorologic Agency says that we can expect more snow in the near future, but for now, stay inside, warm and safe. Continuing on to 2013, we move on to an interesting story, the death of the world's oldest living man. Tonight, we are sad to report the death of the world's oldest man, 5 months after reporting the death of the world's oldest woman, Koto Okubo.
At 2:08 on June 12th, Jiroyamon Kimura, recognized by the Guinness World Records as the oldest man in recorded history, passed away in his hometown of Kyotango, Kyoto.
Kimura was 116 years old and died from natural causes.
He was born in 1897. To put this in perspective, that was the same year as American pilot Amelia Earhart was born.
In fact, the year he was born, the life expectancy was only 44 years of age.
Kimura was recognized as the world's oldest living person on December 17, 2012, when a woman from the U.S. who was 115 passed away.
On December 28, 2012, Kimura reached the age of 115 and 253 days and officially became the world's longest-lived man.
Kimura had 7 children, 14 grandchildren, 25 great-grandchildren, and 15 great-great-grandchildren.
The key to his longevity might have been his diet. Kimura often said his personal motto was eat light, live long.
Kimura and 94 other people in Kyotango's population of 60,000 will be 100 years or older this year.
Because of this, the city has launched a research project to study their diets and find the secrets to their long lives.
Live reporter Sylvia is currently visiting Kyotango and can tell us more about the food eaten there.
Thanks, Ola. I've been able to discuss healthy eating with the locals here, and many say that consuming rice, local seafood, and vegetables provide the key to a long life.
Kimura's nephew says that he is surprised by his passing and that he was fit with a good appetite until his last week.
The world's oldest living person is now a Japanese woman, Misao Okawa, who is only a year younger at 115 years old.
The world's oldest living man is now an American man, Luciano Sanchez, who is significantly younger at 112 years old. Unfortunately, Mr. Sanchez ended up passing away in September of 2013, and the title of the world's oldest living man is now returned to Japan and is held by Sakari Momoi of the Saitama Prefecture, and he is currently 111.
Misao Okawa is the oldest living woman and person in the world. She has now surpassed Kimura's age by about 250 days.
Kimura still holds his title as the world's longest lived man. Earlier today, general elections were held, and the results are about to be announced as we speak.
Please welcome Tsun-Tsun Sui, reporting live from Tokyo.
Thank you, Maggie Gill. As you know, the results for these elections will be released extremely soon. The general elections were called by Prime Minister Abe Shinzo. Many speculate that Mr. Abe will win and that these elections are simply a reaffirmation of power, since his party, the Liberal Democratic Party, holds a sizable majority in the House of Representatives, holding 294 out of 480 seats. However, he needs to solidify his power since his approval ratings are dropping. The drop in the approval ratings are a direct effect of the suffering economy, which has caused his place in the government to be doubted. What's that? It seems like the election results have just been released. Mr. Abe will remain in his position as Prime Minister, and his party, the Liberal Democratic Party, will now hold 291 out of 475 seats in the House of Representatives.
Since these elections are not appearing to result in any major changes, what do you think the significance of these elections and their results are?
I think that the election served as a referendum on Mr. Abe's economic reform policies, or Abenomics. However, I think that these results are more of a rejection of his opposition rather than a reaffirmation of his policies, since Japan has slipped into yet another recession.
Why is his opposition weak?
His main opposition, the Democratic Party of Japan, has not performed well while in power. This is exemplified by the fact that they have had 3 prime ministers in just 3 years, and that they've handled the 2011 tsunami poorly, resulting in the nuclear meltdown in Fukushima.
Thanks for joining us, Tsun-Tsun Sui, and we'll see you tomorrow night. This story brings us to the end of our broadcast, but before we leave, we want to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Let's make this year the best year Japan has ever seen.
We'll see you tomorrow night with our regular broadcast.
Sayonara!
Story.
Yay! In
Wait a
1940...
second, Maggie. We have live reporter Christina.
Hey, Christina.
And vegetables provide the key to a long life.
Fukushima.
Oh my god.
Wait, are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, are we actually gonna put bloopers again?
Yes!
It's literally just gonna be me going like the entire time.
Yeah, let's go.